about again. This time it's the Cleveland Way. This is the start point. I'm doing it with my friend Lucien, and it's a heat wave, so you can count the number of times that I say how hot it is. Right, so let's get some stats out of the way to start off with. Cleveland Way, it is about 109 miles long. We're going to be doing it in about a week, and it's going to be good. It's really, really pleasant walking, apart from first mention of the sun beating down on us. It really is very, very warm. If the path carries on like this for the whole trail, I'll be very happy, because it's really easy going, really smooth, well signposted, absolutely perfect. The easy, sun-dappled path took us up a sheltered valley to a clear stream that was crossed by stepping stones. Right, hello, we haven't spoken for a while, and that's because I've been a bit distracted, just having a really nice time. And we've been through some beautiful wooded valleys, crossed some lovely, pretty streams. It's blooming hot though. Oh, I said it again. With lush fields on either side, we walked on in glorious sunshine to the Sutton Bank Visitor Centre. Well, that was a good stop at the visitor centre, and I've filled up with plenty of water for tonight and tomorrow morning as well. About 4:30 in the afternoon now. We started a bit late because of buses and stuff like this, so we need to carry on a bit more tonight, really, to get some reasonable mileage under our belt. If we stop too soon today, then it's going to make life a bit more difficult for the next couple of days. So from about an hour's time, we're going to keep an eye out for somewhere to stick the tents. But for now, we're just enjoying this amazing vista. It really was a stunning part of the trail. The views to the west were simply amazing. Till eventually we found a super spot for camp for the night as the sun set. I'm kind of whispering because it doesn't seem right to shout when it's still 6:20 in the morning. Yes, 6:20. But we're making an early start and nearly finished packing up, ready to hit the trail again. And we're making an early start because it's going to be another hot day today. So the sensible thinking is get going whilst it's still cool, kick off a good few miles before the temperature gets too hot. Tell you what, I can't have a word with those sheep. I swear, they did not stop through the whole night bleating away, so been on the trail for nearly an hour now, gently easing our way into the day's walking. But what a fantastic, beautiful start to the day. Am I speaking too soon? Guess we'll find out later, but so far we're bright and early. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning or so, and so it's still quite cool, very still, hardly a breath of wind, and the walking is absolutely delicious. And this morning's walk takes us across the moors and down to the town of Osmotherley, which is probably the most Yorkshire sounding village name you could get. Osmotherley. You can't say it without having a Yorkshire accent. Okay, so we've been on the trail for about 2.5 hours now, and look at this trail. You can't miss it, can you? So navigation this morning has been a complete piece of cake, not a problem at all. It's all going very well so far. Yes, worrying, isn't it? This village shop is a sight for sore eyes, but we had the most delicious, freshly made quiche, a couple of ice creams, topped up with water. Now we're back on the trail. Right, another milestone on the trail, because this is where we meet the coast to coast, which follows the trail as far as the coast. Osmotherley is a distant fading memory now, because we've spent an hour or two climbing up out of the village, and so now we are back onto moorland, which feels fantastic. And there are other things that feel fantastic as well. Main thing is that we've now got much more cloud cover and a bit of a breeze as well. In fact, a very nice warm breeze, so it's not as hot and clammy and sunny as it was a bit this morning. There is also the lure of the Waystones café and campsite, refreshments, ice creams. So that means that when we do stop, it's not for very long. We're on a mission. My mission is a double caramel magnum. Okay, so last few miles have been really nice walking, pleasant paths, gently downhill, easy, until we came here, and that is the path that leads up through the trees. There's a 500-600 foot climb to the top. So the walking poles are out, taking a deep breath, see you at the top. We made it to the top, then across the moorland until the descent into Waystones, where the cafe was about to close. So I dashed ahead to make sure we didn't miss out on a cup of tea. Right, so here I am at Waystones. I made it with a bit of a sprint down off the hill, has to be said, but got a cup of tea, everything's good. Had a good look at the map, and we spotted the campsite where we're going to head for tonight. Okay, join us some time later. So we've got another few miles to do on today's trail. Down there is where we had our cup of tea and a break and a look at the map and a think and a plan. We come up to Cringlemore, and there's a lovely vista showing us where everything is. Sadly, it's kind of a hazy, murky day, although it's blooming hot, let me tell you. But it's that very sort of close, muggy atmosphere, and the views aren't so good. It's quite tantalising, really. But we can see Robury Topping, where we're going to be heading tomorrow, so that's good news. And the other bit of good news is that we've kind of broken the back of the climb, just a short way to go up to the top, and then we're over the moor down the other side of the campsite, and that is strange. That's Lucien doing up his shoes. So found ourselves a small, very nice little campsite, just half a mile off the trail, and my tent is pitched up. It looks more like Widow Twankey's laundry at the moment, with all the bits of stuff that I washed in it. Hopefully going to dry out overnight. We've got a lovely view off down the valley, so isn't it amazing what a difference being clean, fresh after a nice hot shower makes to your general demeanour. It's been a fantastic evening. Now all that's left is to plan ahead a bit for tomorrow and turn in for the night. It's now 6:40, all packed up, and again the plan is to hit the trail nice and early, get some miles in before it gets too hot. But the sun has just come up over the hill, so the mist has burnt off. We're in for another hot day's walking, I think. So the path that we're walking on now is bathed in bright morning sunshine, and yet up ahead the mist and fog is rolling in, totally obscuring the view, which was glorious not 20 seconds ago. And there, looming ominously out of the mist, the Waystones. And the good things about Waystones is there's probably going to be a nice big rock to sit down, take a break and have a breather, and admire the non-existent view. Okay, so now at the top of Waystones, and this has got to be one of the nicest sections of path so far. Firstly, because it's level, hurrah, because the rest of this ridge is a bit of a switchback up and down, but the views are starting to open up down, so that's to the north, miles and miles of farmland. To the south of us, it's more moorland valleys. So either side, we've got fantastic views. This downhill path seems to be going downhill for a very long way, and uppermost in my mind is that for every downhill step I take now, in half an hour's time I'm going to be going uphill again. That hill over there is Round Hill, and that is the highest point on the trail, so it really is downhill from now on in. It's a very, very good path down off the hill, and now we've got on this really clear, easy track. So although the first couple of hours this morning were quite hard going with lots of ascent and descent and quite rough, especially over the Waystones, from now on it's like a motorway. We're cruising. Look at it, totally blue sky, and what you can't see, but the breeze is nice and fresh, warm but fresh, stopping us from getting too sweaty. So pretty ideal weather conditions. So just going to take a quick break, have something to drink, and kick off a few more miles. I seem to remember a couple of days ago saying that I was going to ration how many times I used the word hot or anything similar like sweltering. So I'm going to struggle now, because you can tell by this the bright sun behind me, it really is, the temperature is getting pretty high, and the lovely breeze that was helping to make it feel more comfortable has kind of died down now, so there's just the pure heat radiating off the track. I guess the good news is that it's a very good track, very easy walking, smooth and very straightforward route finding, so that makes life a bit more straightforward. But for the moment we're just kind of I guess ticking off the miles. So we finally arrived after a long slog down the road at the village of Kildale, which sounds like good news, but Kildale is notoriously low on facilities for walkers, so we're not expecting much. This is absolute bliss. I want to show you. Nice cool stream running through woodland. The water's so refreshing, and my feet are absolutely loving it after miles and miles on dusty hot roads. Oh, this feels so good, I can't tell you. Whoa, made it to this memorial to Captain Cook, and it's a feature we've been able to see for a day now, so it's really good to be here. God, I gotta tell you, it is blooming hot. Oh, I said it again, but it is stifling hot. There's a little bit of a breeze here, which is helping, but the sun is really powerful, and we've just had a monster climb out of Kildale, a lot of which was in sun with no shade, which certainly took it out of us. Anyway, enough of us. We're here now, and over in the background, that's the ridge. Basically, we've been walking along for the last couple of days. It's bathed in beautiful sunlight and looks absolutely stunning. If I pan around a bit, then that remarkable little lump there, that's Roseby topping. So we walk up towards that and then towards Gisborough, where we're going to be staying tonight. I can see the sea! Just clocked up 20 miles so far today, but there's still a mile or two to go, and we're gradually descending down through the forests above Gisborough. I've got to tell you, the temperature is still really high, really high, baking hot. And as we drop down into the woods, we're losing the effect of the cooling breeze, so feeling it even more. Well, we made it to Gisborough eventually and enjoyed a well-earned beer and steak supper. Welcome back. Day 4 on the trail, and early morning. Luckily it's a bit cloudy and it's a lot cooler than it was yesterday. I'll tell you that for nothing. I just done a nice little climb up some steps and we're out into countryside again. We've been thinking carefully about how far we're going to walk today. We've had a very in-depth analysis of that last night over a pint or two. The next 2 or 3 days are going to be probably on average 17 miles each. I guess the only factor is if we're passing through nice little seaside places with ice cream stalls, coffee shops and slices of cake, then today's walk could take a bit longer than you might think. Next up was the amazing viaduct at Saltburn, and official confirmation that we were over halfway. Wow, what a difference half an hour makes. So we're on the coast now. Whole feel of the place has changed hugely. There's a nice fresh breeze. Cloud covers, I'm going to say 50%. So it's delightful walking. Apart from the proximity of the cliff edge, which is just a little bit concentrating my mind at the moment. Good path, nice weather, tummy full of ice cream, and plenty of time to complete today's mileage. So it's all come together quite nicely, hasn't it? Walking south along the cliffs was brilliant, until we came to the famous giant charm bracelet sculpture before Skinning Grove. Now, I know that it's famous and full of symbolism, but it looked a bit ugly to me that day. So we hurried on down to the glorious sandy beach, through Skinning Grove and over the cliffs and their scars of old mining works, and a tribute to the modern mine before descending into Staithes. It's a while since I gave an update, but things have certainly changed a bit since last time. Look at this hat, got puffy on underneath the windproof. The weather's certainly changed. Look how dark those clouds are. Blustery wind, look at it catching the tent. Anyway, so we came through Staithes, took the opportunity for a bit of a break, a nice cup of coffee and a cup of tea, and filled up with water. So now we are pitched up somewhere outside Staithes, that's what I'm going to say. We've had to wait, it's now nearly 8 o'clock, so it's really quiet. We've left it nice and late, and we'll be gone first thing in the morning as well. The wind is pretty blustery, but we've found ourselves a bit of natural shelter, so hopefully the tents will still be there in the morning. Next thing is to get in the warm and dry and relax. Wow, that was a wild night, and not for the right reasons either. Very, very windy, blustery through the night. So you can see how the copper spur is moving around in the wind, and this is my Lanshan. Gusts, it was a steady 23, gusts up to 35, and so that meant to got woken up from time to time by when it got particularly gusty. But I have to say, bless it, the good old Lanshan survived and wasn't too bad, wasn't too rattly in the night. So although it's moving around, it seems to be pretty rock solid. It's bright blue sky, and the forecast is that the wind will drop down during the day. So the bad news is that the wind is blowing off the cliffs, and we're on a cliff top path. So I think we'll be being very cautious and not getting too close to the cliff edge today. So today, Whitby and beyond. Right, so we've been on the trail for 20 minutes or so. It's a beautiful morning's walking, apart from the strong breeze, which every step is trying to blow us off the cliff, which does concentrate the mind a little bit. But it's beautifully fresh though, and because we're on the trail nice and early, whoa, there we go again, absolutely deserted, got a place to ourselves. So that's good. Right, so the next stop is Brunswick Bay, which is just over a hill over there. In the distance, a wild deer was running through the long grass in the wind. We're at Runswick Bay. Lovely, charming spot, but something tells me it gets quite busy in high season. Lots of signs saying no parking and lots and lots and lots of benches. But we can see our route goes along the bay and cuts up a steep valley up there. So I'm an Englishman, I'm at the beach, therefore it stands to reason I have to go and paddle, don't I? I haven't been for a paddle yet, though we've been walking alongside the beach for quite a long time, so there's nothing else for it, is there? It's got to be done. We are dashing along the beach because the tide is coming in and there's about a metre left of sand around the headland before we can get to the gully where we turn off. So it looks like we're going to make it by the skin of our teeth. We've still got a little bit of sand left to squeeze our way round. Just as well we didn't have the coffee in the cafe after all. We made it okay, then climbed a narrow path beside a stream in a deep ravine. Before crossing a bridge and starting to climb. I lost count of the number of steps as we wound our way up through the woods. And eventually emerged to fields of emerald green crops dancing in the wind and brilliant views along the coast, leading us all the way to the historic port of Whitby. So we left Whitby behind now, just about, you can make out the outline of the old, that'd be on the skyline there, and we'll be following the cliff top path. And when I say cliff top, I really mean cliff top. There are times when the cliffs have eroded so much there's actually the edge of the path that's disappeared off the cliff, so a little bit unnerving. Thoughts about Whitby? I've got a very, very good lunch, tasty, healthy salad lunch, so my insides are thanking me, but it was thronging with visitors and tourists, quite busy, especially down by the river. Fish and chip restaurants are plenty and that kind of thing. So after the sort of solitude and peace and quiet of the clifftop walking, it was a real culture shock. You know, it was didn't feel extremely pleasant, to be absolutely honest with you, and I think we couldn't wait to get back out onto the trail and away from the crowds. And now we're a quarter of a mile, half a mile out of town. It's all gone quiet again, and the sounds of people has been replaced by the sounds of waves and a tractor and birds in the sky. And we're back on a nice, pleasant path with beautiful views. Coming up early evening now, and we found ourselves somewhere to pitch, somewhere that's quite private, sheltered, and not causing any nuisance to anybody. It's been a good day today, most of it very pleasant, and Whitby. Tent's looking good, starting to get cool outside now. So after I think it was 17-18 mile day today, nice and pleasantly tired, time to get some food and get some rest ready for tomorrow. And tomorrow will take us past Robin Hood's Bay and on to Scarborough. Bleary-eyed the next morning at these views. It's an absolutely fantastic morning's walk. About 7:30 in the morning right now. Nice clear day, cool breeze. Good chance to get some miles under our belts as we head towards Robin Hood's Bay. Look at those cliffs quite impressive, aren't they? Stunning. And ahead of us, the sunlight's just starting to catch the sea, and the sea's glistening. I think this is definitely one of the nicest sections of the trail. And every time we go around a corner, the view changes and more dramatic cliffs come into view. Pretty soon, when we go around those corners, the little Robin Hood's Bay town will come into view as well. You don't want to linger too much because destination Scarborough sounds like a fairly naff title of a cheap film, doesn't it? Destination Scarborough today. We dropped down the steep streets of Robin Hood's Bay till we reached the sea at the point where the coast-to-coast path ends. Then, surprise, surprise, it was time to climb all the way back up again. This time the path was very dodgy in places, but the reward was a gorgeous view of the small port. And it wasn't long before we came across the café at Boggle Hole. After a hearty breakfast, we were back on the trail, and an amazing sight was waiting for us. We've just seen a pod of, is it a pod? What's the name for a family of seals? A group of 10 seals. Delightful. So about an hour ago, it was a nice, dry, clear, still morning, and then the rain arrived, and it looks like from the forecast and the radar it's going to stay this way for a couple of hours more. We've still got great views back along the coast to where we've come from this morning, and the other nice bit is that until we reach Scarborough, it's pure cliff top walking, no more villages, towns or anything. And although it isn't the last day of the trail, there's a slightly end of term feel to it. You know, this is the last sort of long section in towards Scarborough. So a big part of me is just determined to take it easy and enjoy it now. And so, after many hours walking on the cliff top path to get here, finally we're approaching the town of Scarborough. It has been a glorious walk along the cliff tops, but it's been one of those situations where we've been able to see Scarborough Castle from a long, long way away. And although we are inching our way towards it, it seems like the castle is not getting any nearer at all. It's been a little bit frustrating, has to be said. The one blessing was that it is Armed Forces Day, and so there's been an air display over Scarborough today, and in the very far distance we've been able to see the red arrows and a typhoon, so that's been good. Right, nearly there. We did eventually arrive in Scarborough and walked along the promenade through the crowds of holidaymakers to our accommodation for the night. Here we are then, final day of the Cleveland Way, and the old port of Scarborough looks quite attractive in the early morning light. Likewise, this part of Scarborough, lovely Georgian terrace architecture, is more attractive than some of the other parts of town, that's for sure. So this last section of the way is like kind of a half day compared to some of the other sections that we've done, and takes us down to Filey. So we're really pleased that it's going to be a nice finale to the trail, because it's such a nice bright sunny morning. At the end of the trail I always have this slight bitter-sweet emotion, because I'm quite excited about completing the trail, ticking another one off the list, and that sense of satisfaction and everything. But it's tinged with a little bit of, it's come to an end. All this great walking stuff is the last bit. So it's a real sort of emotions are flipping between the two. After the gaudy bustle of Scarborough, it felt good to be on the trail again. We passed glorious coves, were buzzed by seagulls, gazed over high cliffs, dodged around recent landslides, climbed up steep paths above crumbling cliffs, stared out across to where we'd come from as the scenery got more and more dramatic at each turn. Only a couple of miles to go now, and look at these cliffs that we're just coming to view. Apparently this is a huge colony seabird nesting site type place, and we can see all the gulls wheeling around under the cliffs looking for nesting sites and stuff. That's the limit of my knowledge already reached, but the path basically follows along the top of that ridge all the way to the end. What an excellent way to finish the path. What fantastic scenery for the end of the trail. Out with a bang, not a whimper. So as we get to the last couple of miles on the trail, I'm talking about and thinking about favourite parts of the Cleveland Way. And there's lots of good ones to choose from. Funnily enough, our first thoughts turned to the food we had along the trail. I put a particularly good salad bowl in Whitby that I would happily recommend. But this shouldn't really be all about the food on the trail, should it really? There have been some really nice parts of the path as well. There's no doubt that the coastal scenery here has been fantastic. It took us a little while to get used to the proximity of the cliff edge to the path, and it's fair to say if you haven't got much of a head for heights, then the section of coastal walking on the Cleveland Way is going to give you some challenges, especially because there's a lot of erosion going on from time to time. But the payoff for that, the trade-off, is incredible views and a truly beautiful, stunning scenery. And it's constantly changing every time you round a headland or crest or rise. And the views are different, are new, so it's never dull and boring. And that meant that this coastal section has actually passed quite quickly. Okay, so heading into finally what's in our minds. Number one, finding the best fish and chip shop, but apart from that, just really concentrating on enjoying these last few moments of the trail. Oh, I can see Filey. Right, so here we are. The end is in sight. The famous stone monument that marks the beginning or end of the trail, depending which way you're going. So here we are. I've officially completed Cleveland Way, 109 miles. Here we are. Made it to the end. Yes! Should really hit the rock, shouldn't we? Done it! Right, so that's it. I've officially completed the Cleveland Way. Right, now into Filey to find a fish and chip shop. It's been a great trail. I've really enjoyed it. Hope you have too. If you've enjoyed this video, there's plenty of others a bit like this on the channel.